DreamWorks Animation Studios. Everything begins life here as a drawing. Drawings that come to life at 24 frames a second. I've come here to see how they made their latest feature, Road to El Dorado. Here's a scene.
My lords, why now do you choose to visit us?
Enough! You do not question the gods.
That's right. Do not question us, or we shall have to unleash our awesome and terrible power, and you don't want that.
Yes, we do.
You do?
Of course we do. Visit your wrath upon this non-believer. Show us the truth of your divinity.
Divinity! One moment.
Miguel, you know that little voice that people have that tells them to quit when they're ahead? You don't have one.
Well, I'm sorry, I just got carried away.
Way away.
Maybe we should tell the truth and then beg for mercy. They might...
Are you nuts? We'd be butchered alive.
Yes, but they're getting suspicious. And if we don't come up with some sort of mega cosmic event in the next 5 seconds, I think we'll find ourselves...
Yes, well, I'm trying. I can't think of all these situation. Bastards. You person, you are... I'm one of the birds up with you. Stop!
DreamWorks Animation Studios are in Glendale, California, just down the road from Disney and Warner Brothers. The rest of the plot? Well, after the boys fool the chief with the volcano trick, they fall for the same girl, get on the wrong side of the sorcerer, distract the villains with comic banter, and escape with the girl. Yeah, it's a buddy movie, a road movie. Hope and Crosby, Martin and Lewis.
But not with that.
And now, Miguel and Tulio. Hundreds of animators and 2 directors spent 3 years on it. And although they're shy about saying just how much money it cost, a reasonable guess might be 50 to 80 million American.
This is big-time animation. The credits alone for this film are 4 minutes long.
Writing in there.
Kevin Kline is Tulio. Kenneth Branagh is Miguel. Elton John supplies the music. And Mexico supplies the Mayan culture. Although they're careful to point out that it's not actually a Mayan story. Still, early in the process, key personnel hopped down to some Yucatan ruins for a look-see. Not a luxury every animation team can afford. There's studio head Jeffrey Katzenberg. He hired special effects animator Don Paul to co-direct El Dorado. Don's a graduate of the Alberta College of Art and Design and worked at Disney for years before coming to DreamWorks.
It usually takes a minimum of 2 directors to finish one of these films because they're such huge undertakings.
Out to the top, outside, Tulio from the other side helps him up. Tie it around the tiller.
You fight like my sister. I fought your sister. That's a compliment. Blackguard, heathen.
A big difference with this film is that you have these 2 comedic sidekicks leading the film. It's a little different than your normal heroic leading man. And that's what makes the show unusual, I think. It makes it very unique in that the rhythm of the dialogue in the film is different from most other animated features.
We've decided it's a draw.
We put them in the studio at the same time in order to get a real energy between the 2 characters and also to get a nice dynamic play on an overlap of dialogue.
Not so fast, Chang.
The principal challenge, as far as the story went, was to create funny and natural repartee between the 2 leads. Tulio and Miguel didn't start out as the svelte guys we know today. There were earlier iterations.
And a lot of times what happens is we'll come up with early character designs, and then as we get the voices recorded for the characters, we'll get some of those voices recorded and we'll start animating the character, and the design will actually take shape as we listen to the voice and as we start to animate that character.
So here we have these 2
As the characters take shape, so does a story. From the initial script, the scenes are roughed out on storyboard panels. Jeff Snow is a story supervisor.
It's a really kind of a unique kind of job because a lot of it's drawing and staging. It's basically how well can you tell a story, because you're at the same time it involves kind of a sense of how to actually engage the audience. You're kind of co-writing, and there's also writers also who work on with it. You're coming up with gags and visual gags. This is essentially the blueprint of the film that we're actually doing right there. Yeah. You know what would be really cool is if we actually had a volcano shot. You'll come up with a lot of great ideas, and you know, a lot of them end up on the floor, and it's kind of this cumulative process of the entire crew that kind of comes together and kind of gets the overall idea as everybody, the group consensus on what the movie should actually comprise. You know what? We need actually a shot of the crowd here, probably.
I thought we could shoot something like this back.
Yeah, exactly, something like that, because we're going to need to establish, you know, what the point of view of this actual shot here. Right. Like occasionally we'll have a like a comedy pass on something, and we'll have the whole story crew and often some animators or anybody who has kind of a sense of humor that people think of as having a sense of humor. We'll get them on a room. We'll view a sequence as it is on the editorial, and people will say, "Hey, that'd be great if we do this or this." Each card is a panel, and they're all actually loosely referred to as storyboards. You say, "This is a storyboard panel." These are each storyboard panels. Loosely, when you're actually talking about a sequence, which is a series of events from basically one story point, you describe the entire action of something that's happening. That would be one sequence, and it's made up of a series of storyboard panels. You refer that loosely as the boards. This is Tulio and Miguel at the volcano. That's the name of the sequence. And so you'd refer that to, well, can we see the boards on that?
Dawn can keep track of the story in this picture book. They call it a stat book. Once the story is laid out, the animators start working.
It's great to be a god.
Most people would think of Kevin Kline as the performer for Tulio. But in the parlance of animation, the performer is not the voice of the character. The performer is the animator. William Salazar is Tulio's lead animator. Here, he's adjusting Tulio's eye line as he reacts to Miguel's harangue.
Are you nuts? We'd be butchered alive.
We have lead character animators on each of the characters. If Miguel and Tulio were in one shot, a lot of times what we'll do is we'll cast Tulio to the character animator who does Tulio, have him complete his animation, and then we'll cast it to the Miguel animator and have Miguel animation play off of the Tulio animation. You really get a really nice sort of energy and an interplay within the scene.
The characters are drawn by hand with pencil, then scanned into a computer. But William only draws the key frames. Those are the frames which serve as guideposts for the action. They might be once every 4 frames or once every 20, depending on what's happening. Once the key frames are done, the in-betweeners fill in the movement to 24 frames a second. This smooths out the action.
Take that!
In the layout department, each scene is plotted from the point of view or camera view to the number of layers and characters in the scene.
And some of those scenes probably have, 10 or 20 levels to them. The volcano may have at least 4 or 5 levels. Then we usually have a background layer of at least 3 characters. We have Altivo, the armadillo, we have Miguel and Tulio, and then you add, in the background, Chief and Zekel Khan on top of that.
The animation is colored in a computer. Each character has a unique color palette. Here, David Carroll adjusts Tulio's eye patch. At the same time, effects and backgrounds are created.
A lot of the backgrounds in Road to El Dorado are actually created on the computer by hand, but they're created on the computer by artists. And sometimes we'll hand paint a background, scan it in, and then digitally touch it up as well.
First, Jody Lamb hand paints the gold-plated temple. But she doesn't need to completely finish it. Duplicate sections can be copied once the painting is digitized. And some little touch-ups can be done. The ones that are easier with a computer. They're calling this kind of thing, partly hand-drawn, partly digitized, tradigital. Effects as well are sometimes a mixture of hand-drawn and computer-generated. In an animated film, effects is pretty well everything that moves that isn't a character.
It's usually taking lighting and putting that on the characters to blend them in that. It's any natural phenomena that you want to do, such as smoke, water, a volcano exploding, like the whole volcano action is all effects. Sometimes that's hand-drawn, and sometimes that's done through computer effects in digital formats. Sometimes a scene demands that the best way to achieve that scene is to do it by hand-drawing it. And sometimes you look at it and you go, well, the scale of this needs to be more of a CG-oriented, a computer-generated image, such as the parting of the Red Seas in Prince of Egypt. That's more digital creation, still artistically digital, but not as much hand-drawn.
But a little human imperfection helps in the characters.
When you see a scene on a computer, sometimes it's absolutely perfect, but it lacks a certain warmth. And sometimes by hand-drawing things, you really get a great human error that is just, there's a wonderful warmth to it that I think that we gain that way.
As each scene is built to length, it's added to a digital version of the film and then edited for pacing and length. Some segments might be just line drawings, other bits almost complete. Nowhere in the world are there bigger animation projects than in Hollywood. But what I found fascinating was that with all the animation being done with computers these days, you can still find a lot of people around here using these things.